Video I want to review proportions. The problems that you'll solve using proportions are going to be probably a lot more complex than this one. This is just a very simple classic scenario comparing boys and girls in a classroom. But we set up simple scenarios to review how the process works, because the process works the same when it gets complicated. So you have to remember how to use the scenario in a simple way and apply it in a simple way, because it's exactly the same. If you remember the foundations of it, then the problem solving will be doable even when the numbers get bigger and the context becomes a little more complex. Just remember these basic components that we're going to review. So we're setting up a proportion now. Before you saw a ratio, so let's write a ratio of boys to girls. Let's say we have 4 boys to 5 girls. That's our ratio. I'm going to put a B here just so I remember I put boys on top, girls on bottom. That's important to remember. And then we can use this information to answer questions, and that's where proportions come into play. So maybe the question is, in this school, the average ratio of boys to girls is 4 to 5. And in Mr. Turner's class, he's got 16 boys registered for his class. About how many girls could he expect? So I can set up a proportion to solve that, and I'm going to use a ratio on the right side that's exactly the same. I'm going to write it in boys to girls, and the question was, if I have 16 boys, then how many girls will I have? And we can use this proportion to estimate that possibility. So I know the known is that I have 16 boys, so I'm going to put it in the same spot. It's going to be on the top of the fraction, the top of the ratio. And then I have the unknown is girls. I don't know how many girls I'm going to have. It's an unknown. It's an X. That's what I'm going to find. A lot of times these are intuitive to reason. You'll notice that 4 times 4 is 16. So you're going to assume that 5 times 4 is 20. You would be correct. These are equivalent fractions in a proportion. That's the way it works. It's a system of equivalent fractions. But when the numbers get bigger, you're going to end up with decimals. It's not going to be as easy to intuit that. So you need a method for solving them. And that's actually pretty easy too. You could set it up as an algebraic equation and follow the rules of algebra and solve it. But here's a quick hack, quick trick. If I multiply those two numbers, so I multiply the 5 times the 16, and then I divide that product by what's left over, 4. That's just a really quick way to calculate this. Throw it into your calculator or not, do it in your head, and you're going to find out that you're going to be able to expect about 20 girls in that scenario. Let's look at it in a little different way. So we can use this information a variety of ways. We could also say that Mr. Turner, so the ratio of girls to boys and the boys to girls in the school that Mr. Turner works at is 4 boys for every 5 girls, or 4 boys to 5 girls. Mr. Turner has a class that's going to have about 54 students in it. That's actually true. One class I teach has at least that, and sometimes more. How many? Let's go with boys this time. How many boys can Mr. Turner expect to have in his class, given this information? So now we have a total. Here we don't have a total, but we could set it up as a total. We know we're going to find boys, so we need that part, 4 boys. I could put it on top or bottom. It doesn't matter. I just have to remember where I put it for when I set up the equivalent fraction or for the proportion on the other side. But now I need a total. So the total students in my little comparison is 9. I'm going to write a T there to remind me that's my total. Now on the other side, I set up an equivalent fraction. I know the total is 54, so that's going to go on the bottom of my proportion. What I don't know is how many boys, so that's going to go, the unknown's going to be on the top. Here's another case where you could just kind of look across and see 9 times 6 is 54. So you're going to say 4 times 6 is 24. You would be right, there will be 24 boys. But to quickly review the hack when the numbers are more complicated than that, 4 times 54. Divide that by 9. Do that on your calculator or not, do it in your head. You're going to end up with the same answer, 24 boys. Again, the problem solving scenarios you'll encounter will be probably more complex, but if you just understand the basics of ratios, they're doable.